Please be seated. Welcome everyone to this council meeting.
May I ask that all mobile phones are switched to silent. There is no planned test of the fire alarm system during this meeting, so if the alarm sounds, please exit the building quickly and safely by the main route. If this route is blocked, please use the fire exits in this room. Do not use the lifts. Once outside the building, please assemble in the market square. Do not re-enter the building until the committee clerk has given authorisation. Please note that this meeting is being visually recorded and may be webcast for the purposes of public transparency and accountability. The recording may be published online or used for other public reporting purposes. In accordance with the Openness of Local Government Bodies Regulations 2014, members of the press and public are also permitted to film or record the proceedings from the designated public seating areas. If any member of the public present does not wish to be filmed, recorded or photographed, please state so now, and we will make every reasonable effort to ensure that you are not included in the recording, which may involve you moving to a different part of the meeting room. Please be aware that any disruptive behaviour, including oral commentary during the meeting or the use of intrusive equipment or lighting, is not permitted and may result in your removal from the meeting. If any member wishes to raise a point of order, can you please stand and state order so we can distinguish them from a member who has raised their hand to indicate they wish to speak in the debate. You will need to state the relevant rule which you take issue with and set out your point clearly. The Chair may ask for the opinion of the monitoring officer before making a decision on how to proceed.
Thank you. Agenda item number 1 is apologies. Are there any apologies?
Yes, Chair. We have apologies from Councillors Charlesworth, Dinsdale, Dixon, Henderson, Manners, Debbie Merriweather, Oxby, Potts, Laura Sanders, Shaw, Troop and Staniland.
Thank you. Agenda item number 2 is to receive declarations of interest by members and officers. Are there any declarations of interest by members?
On the last motion, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any declarations of interest by officers?
I just confirm that I've also got a declaration of interest from Councillor Digby, but it is an opportunity, so she will be able to participate in the agenda item number 8.
Thank you. Agenda item number 3 is minutes of the meetings held on the 18th of September and 6th of November 2025. Are there any comments or observations? All in favour? Against? Abstentions? Agenda item number 4 is previous motions, action and implementation. These are provided for noting. Agenda item number 5 is communications. To receive such communications as the Chair, Leader and the Chief Executive desire to lay before Council. All members, this is from myself, all members are invited to attend a member officer festive coffee event on Thursday the 11th of December at Worksop Town Hall. It will be a relaxed and informal opportunity to connect with officers across the organisation. Your presence can help make this event meaningful and engaging. Chief Executive's Communications.
Thank you, Chair. Following consideration by Council and Cabinet last week, or previous week, I can confirm that the local government reorganisation proposals were submitted by Mansfield District Council on behalf of the 1E authorities on Friday the 28th of November as required. In addition, proposals were submitted by Nottingham City Council, B2, and Nottinghamshire County Council and Rushcliffe, 1B. Details of all three proposals can be seen at lgnots.org. You may have already seen a significant milestone in our preparations for simple recycling reforms, with deliveries of new glass recycling bins to households currently rolling out across the district. So hopefully you've all been able to find somewhere to store those bins. In addition, work to regenerate our high streets using new powers and strategic targeting of government funding has seen a marked reduction in vacancy rates in Retford, Harworth and Burcoats, and a small reduction in Worksop, halting previous trends. As a result, we are gaining national interest in the approach that we are taking. On 25th of November, the Chair and I, along with many officers and members, had the honour of attending the launch event for Bassetlaw's Gold accreditation under the DAHA programme. DAHA accreditation is recognised in the government's Ending Violence Against Women and Girls strategy, and by becoming a DAHA accredited authority, we're taking a stand to ensure we deliver safe and effective response to domestic abuse. The event included a harrowing and thought-provoking portrayal of the real-world consequences of the impact of domestic violence, and I'm proud that we have undertaken the work we have to receive this accreditation, which will ensure that staff across the authority are trained to recognise the signs of domestic abuse and to take steps to address it.
Thank you. I would now like to hand over to the leader to update members on development.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to give this speech with a minuted, please. Since our last council meeting, we have decided on our preferred option for local government reorganisation in Nottinghamshire, with our proposal, option 1E, setting out a bold vision for the future of local governance across the region. We have developed our option through extensive collaboration and public engagement. It recommends 2 new unitary councils, providing services for residents with a north and south split, which makes good geographical sense. The engagement exercise also found that there was more positivity and support towards this option compared to the other core option. Our proposal carries the potential to improve local services and enhance the prosperity of our areas through stronger economic growth, and it brings communities together which have a common connection. We now await the government's final decision on what happens next. We continue to take the safety and well-being of our tenants and residents seriously, and have recently been working to ensure that those who are experiencing domestic abuse have a safe place to discuss concerns and access to people who can help. Our caring, survivor-centred approach, as well as reflectiveness and openness to learning, has helped us to become the second council in Nottinghamshire to achieve the Domestic Abuse Housing Alliance accreditation, or DAHA, awarded to housing providers delivering effective support. In addition, the DAHA assessment panel awarded us the gold standard accreditation. This is not easy to get, and to help us achieve this, we worked closely with Women's Aid in Nottinghamshire, looking at all of our areas of work, including our policies and procedures, alongside staff development and support. The safety of all of our residents is paramount. In our towns, our efforts to tackle long-term empty shops through the High Street Rental Auction Scheme have been recognised nationally by the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government as an example of best practice. We are proud to be leading the way as one of the early adopters of these powers, and we've taken a collaborative approach, working closely with landlords, agents and businesses to understand barriers and encourage investment rather than relying solely on enforcement. This strategy is beginning to deliver results, and since March, vacancy rates have fallen in Retford by 8.16% to 5.78%, and in Harworth and Burcoach from 11.48% to 9.84%. Worksop at the moment have closures of premises currently offset by the new openings that we have, and this is a clear focus for work over the next months. Across the district, 23 shops have been let or are under offer, and several long-term vacant properties in Worksop are back on the market. I believe that this shows how partnership and investment are the key to thriving high streets. We also play a key role in nurturing a diverse and dynamic business community. This year we are celebrating 25 years of our Enterprise Grant Scheme, which helps provide opportunities for businesses to start, grow and thrive across the district. About 600 startups and small businesses have benefited from the grants so far, as well as receiving valuable mentoring, training and workspace opportunities. Speaking of investment, we continue to back several major projects in the district. Work is continuing at pace at the Newgate Street Health Centre Hub, with the steel frame in place and brickwork underway as part of a partnership project which will benefit residents and patients throughout the area. We look forward to seeing this development being brought back to life early next year. Demolition works are planned for early 2026 as part of the redevelopment of the Priory Centre, which aims to create a more modern, family-focused leisure facility, including entertainment and shopping, alongside improved pedestrian links, public spaces and a new canal footbridge. Meanwhile, planning permission has been granted for the demolition and enabling works at the former North Border School site in Harworth and Burcoach. We also continue to support the Worksop Together Board as part of the government's Pride in Place programme. The board has recently submitted its 10-year vision and regeneration plan for Worksop, setting out how it plans to spend £20 million of government funding to revitalise the area for the benefit of residents, visitors and businesses. The submission is currently being reviewed by government, with feedback expected early in the new year. In our communities, we are moving forward with the introduction of curbside glass collections under the Simpler Recycling Scheme. New black bins are being delivered to homes across the district in preparation for collections, which will start in March 2026. We are also launching a dedicated app early next year which will provide personalised information such as a bin collection schedule, details on what additional items can go in the blue bin and real-time updates on any service disruptions. These changes aim to standardise and simplify recycling and waste services across all local authorities nationwide. Elsewhere, we have also been helping community and voluntary projects across Bassetlaw to expand their support for residents, thanks to £157,000 from East Midlands County Combined Authority from our Mayor, which is funded by the Government's UK Shared Prosperity Fund. Administered by Bassetlaw Community and Voluntary Service on behalf of the District Council, the grants have been awarded to 14 organisations across Bassetlaw. Funding has been aimed at projects tackling social isolation, boosting engagement and creating volunteering opportunities with beneficiaries such as from the Heart Charity, the Oasis Community Church and Bassetlaw Action Centre. We anticipate that this latest funding will further strengthen community connections and inclusivity across the district. Finally, I'd like to remind everyone that we have extended our free parking in all of our car parks for an hour earlier than in previous years in the run-up to Christmas and New Year. Visitors can park for free from 1 p.m. every afternoon until Monday the 5th of January in council-owned car parks, as we encourage more people to shop local and support traders and our high street businesses over the festive period. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Agenda item number 6 is questions from members of the public. There are 8 questions. In accordance with point 15.3 of the Constitution, no question or answer may exceed 5 minutes without the permission of myself as Chair of the Council, and the totality of questions and answers may not extend beyond 15 minutes without the consent of the Chair of the Council. I will invite the questionnaire to put the question to the relevant Cabinet member. Is Mr Blackwell present?
My question was, why wasn't the Union flag flying above Retford Town Hall on Remembrance Sunday? The health and safety reason given will need to be published for the citizens. Please tell me when this will be published. Thank you.
Councillor Rose, to respond.
Chair, thank you. And first of all, can I apologise for the fact that the flag wasn't flown on Remembrance Sunday. It was avoidable, and alternative arrangements should and could have been made with a bit of foresight. However, the lessons have been learned, and there are plans in place to ensure that this situation doesn't happen again. The Union flag was removed from Retford Town Hall earlier this year due to its condition, and following a review of the decision, and following a review of the existing risk assessment to assess its location, a management decision was made not to replace this flag because of safety concerns. The Council proudly flies the Union flag in other locations across the district, including Kings Park in Retford, and our offices in Worksop. However, the absence of the Union flag, where commemorations for Remembrance Sunday were taking place in Retford, should have been considered and an alternative provision put in place. Retford Town Hall dates back to the 1860s, and the route to the clock tower hasn't changed much in this time. However, health and safety legislation has, and the process of gaining access to this flagpole is not considered to be safe enough by today's standards. As the flagpole is not an original feature of the Town Hall, there are no heritage or planning issues associated with its relocation to an alternative location, such as Retford Market Square. The reduction of load will also benefit the integrity of the Town Hall's historic fabric. Having a safely accessible location to the flagpole will ensure that this regrettable situation does not happen again. The relevant health and safety reports are internal documents and have been shared with local councillors. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr White. The next questions are from Mark Hammond. Mr Hammond, would you like to ask a question?
Good evening. My question is it fair that councillors get discounted parking units when fees are increasing for residents and shoppers? And my second question is this another example of two-tier? Under Labour, one fee for residents and another for councillors.
Councillor Rose, would you like to?
Yes, I'll ignore the little jibe about two-tier Labour. I think that says something about the political motivations behind this question. But I will answer the question to say that councillors are elected representatives, not salaried employees, and their role requires regular travel across the district to attend meetings, visit sites and engage with community activities. Providing discounted car parking permits is a practical measure to ensure that we can carry out these duties effectively without incurring disproportionate personal costs. The discount is not a benefit in the traditional sense. It's designed to remove barriers to participation in local governments.
Councillors often attend multiple venues in a single day, including council officers, committee meetings and ward-based events. Without a permit, parking charges could become a significant expense, potentially discouraging individuals from standing for election or limiting their ability to fulfil statutory responsibilities. Typically, the cost of a councillor's permit is set at a nominal level. Usage and price is linked to an officer's parking permit. This approach balances fairness with practicality. Permits are generally restricted to use when on official council business and are non-transferable, ensuring accountability and preventing misuse. This policy aligns with arrangements for certain council officers who travel frequently for work such as housing or planning staff to avoid operational inefficiencies. Ultimately, discounted permits support democratic engagement by enabling councillors to focus on representing their communities without undue financial burden.
Thank you, Mr. Hammond. The next questions are from Kevin Frederick of the Blackburn family, who is unable to attend tonight. Mr. Armitage, can you please read out questions?
Thank you, Chair. Two parts to this question. How many empty social housing properties does the council have? And is the council paying double council tax for any property empty for more than 12 months?
I thank Mr. Frederick for his question. In response to the first part of the question, as of the 26th of November 2025, there were 293 empty council-owned properties in Bassetlaw, which equates to just over 4% of the council housing stock, which is comparable with the number of empty homes nationally and on one of our nearest local authority neighbours, who also have 4% of their housing stock currently vacant with reasons of a similar nature to ourselves. Of the vacant dwellings, 77 dwellings are undergoing routine maintenance prior to reletting. 30 dwellings are in the process of being allocated to new tenants. 159 dwellings are undergoing major work to meet compliance, ensuring that properties meet all relevant building safety legislation. The reason for the increased number of empty properties undergoing major work is due to the age of the council housing stock and the changes to building safety legislation, which the council wants to ensure when meeting its obligations as a landlord. A further 29 properties are either awaiting sale as they are considered not economical to repair, or being remodelled for a more appropriate purpose. Reducing the number of empty dwellings is a key priority for the council. Having identified and undertaken an overview and scrutiny subcommittee review, which culminated in a detailed report identifying 17 recommendations. These recommendations are currently being worked upon and or have been completed. And should Mr. Frederick want any further information moving forward, a void performance report is available quarterly via our cabinet papers. In response to the second part of the question, the premium charge for council tax is payable for unfurnished or unoccupied dwellings after they have been vacant for a period of 24 months. The council does not currently apply this premium charge to council-owned dwellings, of which the council owns 35 meeting this criteria.
Thank you. The next question is from Alan Morris. Mr. Morris, would you like to ask a question?
Good evening. There has been an unauthorised traveller site in Elksey since 2022. A planning application for approval of this site was rejected by the council in May of this year, but the council has made no attempt to take enforcement action to close down this site. When are the council going to fulfil their legal obligation to enforce their own planning policy and take action to close this site?
Thank you for raising this important issue. The Council is fully aware of the unauthorised travellers' site at Elpsley and has been working with the applicant to try and resolve matters through the planning process. A retrospective plan application was submitted early this year, but after careful consideration it was refused in April. This refusal was based on several concerns, including the fact that the site lies outside the settlement boundary. Questions around gypsy and travellers' status, highway safety, and the lack of information on environmental impacts. A further application was lodged in August. It was never made valid because it did not initially include all the required plans, and despite repeat requests, the required fee was not paid. That application has now been returned to the applicant's agent. As a result, the case is now being investigated as a priority by the Council's planning enforcement team. It is now with our legal team and they are working together on this. They will take all necessary steps to ensure proper planning control of the land. I want to reassure residents that the Council is committed to upholding its planning policies and will take enforcement action where appropriate. We will keep members and the public updated. This process moves forward. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
You
Mayor.
haven't even got an enforcement officer. It's true, you've got no enforcement officers. How are you going to do that?
Please be quiet while I say.
No, answer the question. That's what we're here
I'll have to
for.
ask you to leave.
Go on then.
The last question
You've got no
is from
enforcement
Joanne
officers. How can you
Morton.
enforce if you've got no enforcement officers?
Can you escort the gentleman out, please?
I will leave, but answer the question. There's 50 people here that want to hear the answer.
Yeah.
Yes?
Can you,
We pay £191 a month for this flipping authority to do absolutely nothing.
if you throw him out, we're all go.
Answer the question. Everyone else got 2 questions. Why can't we?
Yeah.
Okay, we carry on. The last question.
Sorry, I have got a few more members of the public that would like to put. Is that all right?
Yep.
Thank you.
Just allow them to.
Yeah, we just let them come. All the members come. Can I just remind the members of the public to switch phones to silent, please? We'll now carry on. The last question is from Joanne Morton. Ms. Morton, would you like to ask your question?
A number of councils have introduced licences for private landlords Does the leader of the council think Bassetlaw should also do this?
Councillor Shaw, please.
Ms Morton, I'll just outline that this is a question that's aimed at the portfolio for housing and estates, and therefore I'll respond as it's not the remit of the leader of the council. Thank you for your question. The council already operates a mandatory licensing scheme, while some councils have also introduced selective licensing for landlords to raise standards in the private rented sector. I can assure you that Bassetlaw has carefully considered the matter. In 2019, the council carried out an extensive consultation on a proposal to introduce selective licensing in 3 wards in the Worksop area. Unfortunately, the response to the consultation at the time was limited, and instead the council agreed to adopt a thriving neighbourhoods approach to work with key partners, agencies and other stakeholders to improve living standards in these areas. Since that time, and as recently as October this year, Cabinet reviewed the council's ongoing work to improve housing quality and enforcement through this approach, including considering selective licensing. The report highlighted the progress we are already making through existing powers, including environmental health inspectors, targeted enforcement against road landlords, and partnership working with tenants groups through our Thriving Neighbourhoods programme. Introducing a licensing scheme is not a decision to be taken lightly. Selective licensing requires significant administrative capacity, clear evidence of need, and careful consideration of costs for landlords and tenants. It is not simply a matter of following what other councils have done. It must be tailored to our local housing market and enforcement priorities. We must also look ahead. For this reason, whilst the council will not be proceeding with selective licensing at this time, we will continue to consider the options already available in light of the forthcoming legislative changes, relevant local information and the needs of our residents in ensuring that we have decent homes in which to live.
Thank you, Ms Morton. Can I just remind members of the public, if you've just turned up, can you switch your phones to silent, please? Thank you. Agenda item number 7 is questions from members. There are 5 questions. In accordance with Part 16 of the Constitution, where a member to whom a question is addressed believes that the question may more conveniently be answered by another member, then that other member may answer the question. An answer may take the form of a direct oral answer, where the desired information is in a publication of the council or other published work, a reference to that publication, or where the reply cannot conveniently be given, a written answer. A member asking a question under Rule 16 may ask one supplementary question without notice of the member to whom the first question was asked. The supplemental question may arise directly out of the original question or the reply. The length of time for question by members, including the giving of answers, is limited to 30 minutes unless the chair of the council agrees to an extension. Any question which cannot be dealt with because of the lack of time will be dealt with by a written answer. Councillor Simon Richardson, would you like to ask your question, please?
Chair, thank you. Could the Council provide a full and up-to-date schedule of all completed Section 106 agreements with the current status of any outstanding obligations, with the estimated time for delivery, reasons for delays, and the information should also include specifying whether Council is holding developer contributions on schemes. Also, where the associated obligations have not yet been delivered, thank you, I reserve my right to ask a supplementary question.
Councillor Scotland, Councillor Clark.
Chair, as you can imagine, this is would be quite a lengthy reply if I had to give it to you in council. I'm happy to give a response to this question in writing. Thank you.
Councillor Richardson, do you have a supplementary question?
I do, Chair, if that's okay. Thank you for that. Given the public interest and the importance of ensuring that communities receive the benefits intended through the planning process, can the portfolio holder give assurance that any outstanding agreements will be subject to urgent action with clear monitoring and implementation plans to prevent any risk of funds remaining unused or being returned to developers? Thank you, Chair.
Chair, that is my last reply.
The next question is from Councillor McFarlane. Councillor McFarlane, would you like to ask your question, please?
Thank you. Last year I raised concerns about the licensing process. I believe a number of private hire licenses have been granted to applicants with previous convictions, including for serious violent offences and one for a sexual offence. A year on, can the Legal Council state how many additional private hire licences have been approved in the last 12 months for applicants with convictions for serious violent crimes or sexual offences, and what safeguards are currently in place to ensure public protection?
Councillor Evans, would you like to respond?
Thank you, Councillor McFarlane. Since September 2024, the Licensing Committee has granted 2 combined driver's licences to new applicants with historic convictions for offences involving violence. You ask about safeguards, and I make reference to the licensing and policy framework. It is important for the public to know that 1, the licensing department issues licenses in accordance with relevant legislation and is guided by the Hackney Carriage and Private Hire policy. Within this policy sits the convictions and fitness policy. This means that all applicants for a combined Hackney Carriage and Private Hire driver's licence must provide an enhanced disclosure and barring service certificate, commonly known as DPS, which includes checks against the child and adult workforce barred lists. If any convictions are disclosed, then the application is referred to the Licensing Committee, which determines under sections 51 and 59 of the Local Government Miscellaneous Provisions Act whether the applicant is a fit and proper person to hold a licence. In safeguarding the public, the committee considers the following: whether the applicant poses any threat to the public, the protection of the public against dishonest individuals, and the safety of children, young people, and vulnerable adults. You should note that, although a conviction does not automatically bar an applicant from obtaining a licence, it is generally expected that the applicant will, 1, remain free of conviction for an appropriate period as detailed in the policy, and 2, provide sufficient evidence that they are a fit and proper person to hold a licence. And I stress here the burden of proof lies with the applicant. Furthermore, simply remaining conviction-free is not usually considered adequate evidence of fitness. And likewise, good character or a clean driving record will not ordinarily be treated as exceptional circumstances. And I stress, each case is assessed on its individual merits. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor McFarlane, do you have a supplementary question?
Thank you. I'm disappointed to hear that licences have been granted to individuals with serious offences. Given that, can I ask the council this? Would she personally feel comfortable with a child of her own or a grandchild being alone in the back of a private hire vehicle with a driver with a conviction for a serious violence or sexual offence?
Councillor Evans, you
I'll state this. I deal with facts. I don't give opinions.
The next question is from Councillor McCullum. Councillor McCullum, would you like to ask your question, please?
Yes, please. Yes, please, Chair. As the owner of a small or medium-sized enterprise in Bassetlaw, I am concerned about the potential implications of the proposed street trading licence scheme. Could the Leader of the Council clarify what assessment has been made of the impact of this policy this may have on small businesses across the district, particularly in terms of competition, footfall and economic sustainability?
Councillor Evans, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Councillor McCallum. The street trading policy was developed following an extensive review process that began in early 2020, paused during the pandemic to allow businesses time to recover, and resumed in 2023. Throughout the process, Council has been mindful of the potential impact on small and medium-sized enterprises across Bassetlaw. The primary aim of the policy is to ensure that street trading is carried out safely and legally, protecting both the public and traders. It introduces clear standards around food hygiene, electrical and gas safety, vehicle integrity, and the right to work in the UK. These measures are designed not to restrict business, but to create a level playing field and maintain public confidence in local trade. In terms of economic impact, we have taken a phased approach to implementation, including a grace period and proactive engagement with traders. This allows businesses time to adapt and make informed decisions. The consultation process included press releases, social media campaigns, and direct visit to traders, ensuring that feedback was considered before adoption. Recently, the Licensing Committee considered measures to amend the street trading policy to one, make it more accessible for businesses who wish to trade from more than one location, and two, to allow fees to be paid by instalments. These amendments were put out for public consultation, which remains open for members of the public to provide their views until the 12th of December 25. Council believes that by formalising street trading, we can support fair competition and help sustain footfall by ensuring trading locations are safe and accessible. While we recognise that any new changes may be challenging in the current financial climate, these fees are necessary to cover compliance checks that protect both traders and consumers. Ultimately, this policy is about safeguarding standards and supporting economic sustainability across the district, and we will continue to monitor its impact and remain open to dialogue with local business. Thank you.
Councillor Swansea, I'd like to supplement the question.
Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you for your answer. In light of the extra financial and bureaucratic burden this scheme places on small businesses, does the leader accept that many will see this as another example of pursuing anti-business policies, another cost for them, but they've been covered already, with prioritising ideology over supporting our local businesses?
Councillor Evans.
Right. What I will say is that our licensing team remains available to advise businesses and explore ways to minimise disruption and to discuss with you any difficulties you are facing. Thank you.
The next question is from Councillor Stanley, who is not in attendance tonight. Councillor Rose, will you respond to that?
Yes, of course, unless it's feasible for anybody else to ask, I'm relaxed about that.
Councillor Rose, council procedurals are silent on the fact that Councillor Stanley needs to be in the room to answer the question. So if the Chief Executive is happy to ask it on your behalf and you're happy to respond, I think that is a sensible outcome.
Yes, very happy. Let's move business on.
Thank you. So, the question is, given that the Prime Minister pledged that a future Labour government would freeze council tax for working people, saying a council tax cut for the many, not just for the top 1%, a Labour government, would freeze your council tax this year. Yet the Chancellor's last budget has raised taxes on employers and appears to further burden working households. Does the budget provide Bassetlaw District Council with the financial resources to freeze council tax this year, or is this yet another broken promise by shambles of a Labour government?
Chair, thank you. Well, obviously, if the questioner would have been keeping an eye on the budget and concentrating, he would have known that the money hasn't been available in this year's budget. But that's not to say it won't be available in the future. We have to wait and see. Council funding is based on core spending power, which combines government grants, retained business rates and locally raised council tax. Over the past decade, the proportion from council tax has grown significantly from around 33% in 2011-12 to approaching over 50% today. While government grant funding has declined in real terms, the annual finance settlement assumes councils will apply the maximum permitted council tax increase, around 3%, to achieve the headline of the growth figures. This has been the case for many years. Without this increase, councils face real terms cuts because inflation, which is currently around 3.6%, but it might have changed, and rising service demands outpace grant uplifts. For councils like Bassetlaw, which have a low tax base and a high proportion of band-aid properties, the ability to raise income is already significantly constrained. Freezing council tax in the current circumstances would widen the funding gap, forcing significant service reductions and unsustainable use of reserves. This would have severe implications for Bassetlaw residents and businesses and is something that I would not support. This council has a good record of managing its finances prudently and sensibly, and will continue to do so until circumstances change and there's any change in central government policy. Thank you.
Thank you. The last question is from Councillor Limber. Councillor Limber, would you like to ask your question, please?
Thank you, Chair. Will the Leader of the Council agree to visit Walkeringham to see firsthand the proposed marina development, which promises to bring employment, investment and new opportunities to a rural part of Bassetlaw that's too often overlooked?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor Limber, for your question. People will have noticed tonight that questions are being asked of me as Leader of the Council, that the Constitution, custom and practice means that questions should really be asked of the Cabinet members who hold the responsibility for questions. I make this offer every council meeting, and I make it at most Cabinet meetings. If you are unsure about issues or unsure of who to ask, then ask me, ask any of the Cabinet members, or ask the officers who I know will help you so that you're asking the right questions of the right people. In terms of your question, Councillor Limber, I would be very happy to visit Walkeringham again. I've visited many times. In terms of what you're asking, as you heard from my speech earlier, Bassetlaw District Council has encouraged employment, investment and new opportunities in many of our rural areas in a number of ways, including successfully bidding for funds such as the Rural Prosperity Fund, the growth grants through the UK SDF, and of course, I'm sure, Councillor Limber, you'll have seen various information that's been sent out to councillors about the Discover Bassetlaw branding, which publicises places to visit and to see in Bassetlaw. I suspect this marina would benefit from that. We're also working with the East Midlands Mayor to develop the visitor economy. And of course, we have a business support team who will be happy to help any of our businesses to develop in Bassetlaw. So you might want to put the person developing the marina in touch with them. There is also the Bassetlaw Business Support website, and with that there is a monthly newsletter which is produced. And any councillor, any member of the public, any business can access both the website and the newsletter. Thank you.
Councillor Limber, else supplementary question?
Thank you, Chair. But I appreciate that, Councillor Lee. Partly it was more of an invite for you to see it in person as well, because the said proprietor of it is also having issues which the Cabinet, you'll know better members that might be more specific to help with the issues there as opposed to a blanket one on the website, so I appreciate it. Given the significance of the proposal from a rural community that really sees major investment, can you outline what steps the Council would do to ensure opportunities like this are properly supported, not overlooked as they progress?
I think, Councillor Limber, in my previous answer, I outlined quite a lot of the things that Bassetlaw do. I'm sure that the question and the answer will be in the minutes, then you'll have a hard copy of that, unless you don't want me to do it again, you don't want me to say it again.
Not at all, as I said, it was just more of an invite, because it's not something that's just straight on a website that will give the answers that's needed.
Yeah,
Thank
that's lovely. I will definitely come back to walk in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item number 8 is motions. There are 3 motions. I call upon Councillor Simon Richardson to read the first motion.
Chairman, fellow members and members of the public. As the Councillor for Ampton, I'm honoured to propose this motion. A motion about renewable energy development, nationally significant infrastructure projects, the future of planning in the Trent Valley and Bassetlaw. So why is this motion being brought now? Across Bassetlaw we are seeing a rapid and concentrated surge of proposals. Large solar farms, battery energy storage systems, major grid infrastructure and emerging nationally significant infrastructure projects. Developments of this magnitude was not anticipated in the evidence base behind our local plan. Having read that plan carefully, it is clear we need a more robust framework to manage development on this scale and of this magnitude. Renewable energy is essential. I fully support fossil to fusion and commend work inside Westburn and Cotton power stations. However, communities are raising serious legitimate concerns. These include the density and clustering of schemes, cumulative land take, loss of productive agricultural land, landscape and amenity impacts, best safety and long-term restoration. These concerns are not anti-renewable. They are about balance, fairness and good planning. A recent report in the Telegraph highlighted that parts of the Newark constituency close to and overlapping Bassetlaw with some of our communities could see up to 8.8% of land tied up in renewable energy projects. Compare that with the national target figures. Ground-mounted solar uses 0.1% of UK land, projected to rise only to 0.3% by 2035. And my own analysis suggests Bassetlaw may already be facing 2.97% land take. So the message is clear. The issue is not national land take, the issue is local concentration, exceptional disproportionate and a legitimate planning concern. This motion proposes 4 straightforward practical actions. 1, an urgent review of all renewable energy developments looking at cumulative impacts, clustering, land loss and environmental effects best safety and restoration guarantees, a report to the Planning Committee and full council within 6 months, outlining evidence-based options such as development boundaries and cumulative impact thresholds, an annual land use energy audit to track and take compliance and restoration, considered updates to our local plans ensuring our policies reflect today's pressures. All this could be managed using supplementary planning documents to strengthen our position. I am not seeking to stop deployment of renewable energy, but we must ensure this is delivered responsibly, strategically and in the right places. Finally, here's some data. Bassetlaw has 157,440 acres of land. 96.4% is rural, 70% is farmed. Our average farm size is 154 hectares, far larger than the regional average. Economic output from farming in Bassetlaw produces around 96 million every year. Projected output from all solar and BESS sites combined could reach 115 million, but I do question who will benefit from this income. Final message. Members, this motion is not about saying no to energy, it's about saying yes to good planning, good evidence and protecting the communities we represent. I urge all members to support this motion and I reserve my right to reply. Thank you, Chair.
We call upon Councillor Griffin to second the motion.
I am pleased to second this motion because it speaks to something fundamental, good planning and responsible governance. No one here is arguing against renewable energy. We all recognise its importance, but what we cannot ignore is the sheer concentration of large-scale energy proposals arriving across our district, without the energy base or a policy framework to manage them properly. Our communities are asking fair, reasonable questions about land take, their safety, food production and long-term restoration. This motion gives us the tools to answer those questions with clarity rather than guesswork. The review, the audit and the reporting requirements are not obstacles, they are safeguards. They ensure that development in Bassetlaw is balanced, strategic and in the right places. This is a measured, sensible proposal that protects our landscape, supports our rural economy and strengthens our planning process. I am proud to second this motion as a District Councillor for Tuxton and Trent, and I urge members to support this motion. Thank you and I reserve my right to speak.
Chair, I'd like to put an amendment to the motion.
Is there a second for the motion?
Chair, I'll second the motion.
Yeah, we'll circulate a copy. Five minutes. Yeah. Now we're asking the monitoring officer to confirm that it is a valid amendment or not.
Chair, I can confirm that it is a valid amendment, but in addition to that, I can also confirm that it is agreed by the proposer, so it's not an amendment, it's an alteration, as it's changed with the agreement of the mover of the motion. This can include a proposal by where another councillor proposal motion is accepted by the mover, but it alters what is being debated in the chamber, but it does still remain Councillor Richardson's motion. He's agreed to change it.
An alteration.
Now, are there any comments or observations on the alteration? Steve, Scott.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor Richardson, and Griffith for bringing this forward and letting me have a chance to talk on our local plan. As of April 25, only 29% of local planning authorities in England, including Bassetlaw, had an up-to-date local plan. This is a significant achievement, and we have to recognise, and we were recognised nationally for our award-winning local plan. But as we know, the world of planning does not stand still. Since adoption, our local plan and national planning system has evolved, and several exciting proposals have emerged across the district. Many of these are centred around the former power station sites on the Trent Valley, including the nationally important STEP project. To ensure we carefully capitalise on this once-in-a-generation opportunity of growth, I have asked officers to focus next year on reviewing and updating local plan evidence. Let me be clear, this does not mean that our local plan is out of date. Rather, it means that we're taking a proactive step how to ensure that we can maximise future opportunities for our residents and local businesses and our environment. This work is already underway, and I am confident that within the next 12 months we will be in a strong position to provide an update, reaffirming our commitment to keeping our evidence base correct and robust. A central part of this review is renewable energy. We are working in a sector that is constantly evolving, and for that reason I am keen that our evidence report is not restricted to specific technology. To be future-proof, the report must consider a full range of renewables and low-carbon technologies that come forward in Bassetlaw. When we talk about renewables, we mean technologies that draw on natural, recurring environmental flows, from wind, water, the sun and biomass. Low-carbon technologies, which such as heat pumps, also play a vital role in reducing emissions and supporting our transition into a greener future. It is equally important that the evidence report considers how proposals interact with all the relevant strategic policies in our local plan. At present, the policies and the paragraph numbers referred to in the motion are not aligned in the local plan, and these should be amended and ensure clarity and accuracy. As part of the ongoing commitment in the evidence-based planning, I have also asked for a clear understanding of our current baseline. Beginning in April 20, the start of the local plan period, our communities have raised understandable concerns about the cumulative impact of proposals, the loss of agricultural land and the effect on the character of our parishes. In response, I requested a comprehensive renewable energy development database containing the information set out in the amended motion, to ensure that the information is accessible and easy to understand, and it is supported by a range of maps. This evidence will be supplemented by an authority monitoring report due early next year. This will also affect our local plan policies, also show that our local plan policies are in good practice. For efficiency, will be measurable against indicators agreed by the local plan inspector. Monitoring will help us identify any conflicts with existing policies or highlight where policies may no longer be functional and intended. Finally, I want to address a key concern raised by many communities, the scale and number of national significant infrastructure projects, or NSIPs, in our district. These are large renewable energy schemes with more than 50 megawatts, determined not by the council but by the planning inspector on behalf of the Secretary of State. Our role is limited to provide factual information as a secondary consultee. Because the local plan only applies to planning matters determined by the local planning authority, it is not used to consider the NSIPs, nor does it apply to smaller renewable energy projects that fall under permitted development rights. It is important that the motion recognises this distinction. As a result of this national process is that information about NSIP is held on the council's website. This makes it difficult for communities to find it when they need it. So tonight, I am pleased to announce the launch of a new council NSIP webpage. This will provide clear, transparent information about the amount and nature of the land being taken up by NSIPs in Bassetlaw. This is not something that we're required to do, it is something that we are choosing to do as an innovative and accessible way for the council to support our communities as they navigate this complex planning area in planning. Thank you.
Councillor Horrocks.
Yeah, it's a very small one. On the council resolutions, there's 2.4s, so the second one should be 0.5.
Thank you, Chair. I speak in support of this motion, and I am really pleased that Councillor Richardson has agreed our amendment. Another thing that I say very often at these meetings is that almost all of us live here in Bassetlaw, and what we should be doing is what's best for Bassetlaw, and if we can, working together. So I'm very pleased that you've accepted our amendment. I realise that this is a very technical motion, but it is important to the continued development of Bassetlaw. As Councillor Scothorne said, in April this year, only 29% of local plan authorities in England, including Bassetlaw, had an up-to-date local plan. The government's made it very clear that when they're making decisions about planning, they will listen to those of us, those very few of us, who have up-to-date local plans. And already it's helped us to prevent speculative planning applications across the district. Council is aware of the many exciting new developments, especially at our own power station sites, which will help to transform the life chances of our residents, especially our children and grandchildren. Our local plan is an important document, and renewable energy is central to our economic future and also to our environment. Our plan needs to take into account all relevant strategic policies, which our amendment will do. And I support all of the changes that Councillor Scothorne has outlined. And I'm very pleased that there will be a greater emphasis on what I know is a concern for many of our communities, and that's the ability to gain easily information about NSIPs. So for those of us who don't know, NSIPs are nationally significant infrastructure projects. So these are the projects that come across our district that are led through government, so the big power lines and things like that that go across parts of Bassetlaw. So we are not able to make a decision about whether or not they are allowed at Bassetlaw, but we are allowed to have a comment about it. And I know that a number of residents have felt very concerned, particularly in our more rural areas, where these big changes are happening and people don't feel like they have a voice. So the new website that's coming online, which will provide information about the NSIP process, with a specific web page specifically detailed to look at NSIPs in Bassetlaw, and the interactive map that Councillor Scothorne described will allow our communities to see the scale and location of each proposal. It's not a requirement that we do this, but it is important to the people of Bassetlaw, so I welcome that too. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair, and I support this motion.
Thank you very much. I very much welcome the debate that we're having tonight. I think it's very appropriate that the community has a say in the strategic proposals that are coming from this council and also from the Mayoral Combined Authority. The Mayoral Combined Authority has defined the Trent Valley as a supercluster in the production of carbon neutral energy for the future. Bassetlaw, I think we all know, has a strong heritage for energy production, first in the coal mines, then linked it to the power stations, and now as we go forward. What's critical about that is the creation of new jobs, new skills, and new opportunities for our young people. I'm fed up with our young people having to move away in order to have a life. This is about enabling a future for our people, and I very, very much welcome it. But what is critical is that local people have a say. What I want to see is the railway lines reconstructed to those power stations so that we can get people off the road and lessen the impact to the local communities. What I want to see is the River Trent being used as the course by which a lot of the major infrastructure for those projects be used to get them to the site. But what's really, really important is that local people have a say and have an understanding of how they will be impacted. And what I want to call for is that wherever we can, we reduce those impacts so that people do not have their lives restricted by what's happening, but they also have to be able to participate in the change that's coming. So I very much welcome this motion that's been brought here tonight, because I think it actually provides the step forward for the revision of our local plan process, which has to happen every 5 years, because once a plan has been adopted, which when our work was adopted in 2024, it's never stationary, it's always alive, and this means that local authorities begin to feed into what happens next for this area, and I very much welcome that we're playing our full role in doing this, and also meeting the government's requirement to having an up-to-date local plan, particularly as we go into LGR, so that what we have now it goes forward into the new formulation that we head into for the future.
Councillor Richardson. Councillor Brown? Sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I've got a lot of sympathy with this, with the original motion and the amendment. And those of you who were on the planning committee at the same time as I was may remember me asking time and again, or stating time and again, that we do not want Bassetlaw glazed over with solar panels. I also asked that there be a map with indicating where these developments were, and I was told there was one, so I found it and looked at it, and it had merely pinpoints in it, so you can't tell from that the size or the scope of the development. So I hope these interactive maps will have a lot more useful information. I would also add, serving the area that I do in the Misterton ward, we're very close to Lincolnshire, and there's an awful lot of similar development happening on the other side of the River Trent, and it would be useful to have that information on the map as well, so that we can see the totality of it. I fully support what Councillor White has just said about opportunities for young people, but I would also add that in addition to transport, there's also roads, the NHS, housing, schools. They're all going to be impacted as the Trent Valley develops, and the communities living in that area should be consulted throughout the whole process. Thank you.
Councillor Richardson, would you like to reply?
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to thank everybody in the chamber for the support this evening. This is a motion that I think, given the rurality, the amount of land that we have in Bassetlaw, this will affect every resident positively, and I think it's a good step that we're taking to start building this evidence base. So I welcome the amendments and the alterations. Thank you, Chair.
We will now vote on accepting the altered motion. All in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Carried. Thank you. The next motion. I call upon Councillor McFarlane to read the second motion.
Point of order. Article 14, and then it's 14.2. It's giving apologies because that's 14.4. That would also mean that Councillor Rhodes needs to respond to the question, which was 14.3 as well.
Sorry, can you use your microphone, please?
14.2 and then it's 14.4 if he hasn't submitted his apologies, and also means that 14.2 and 14.3 Councillor Rhodes didn't need to respond to his question.
Councillor Rhodes didn't need to respond to the question, but Councillor Rhodes agreed to respond to the question. We did say it would have been a written response, but Councillor Rhodes did ask the Chief Executive to read it out and for him to be able to respond in public tonight.
Point of order.
Okay, Councillor, sit down, you can
Yeah, I will. I can't get up very well. So, I'm looking at motions on notice, yeah? 17.5. It says the proposer and seconder must be in the chamber. Well, they're not here. There's only the proposer. Councillor Stanley is not here. When we put our motions in, we have to send them on the same day to the Chief Executive. And we have to sign them, and that's a mover and a seconder. And the seconder is not here. He has not been here tonight, so I say this motion falls tonight and bring it, and they'll have to bring it back.
This is a point of order, Chair, so it's for you to rule upon. I have looked at this, and if you look at the scope of motions, where we say what is required when submitting a motion, it says signed by at least 2 members. That doesn't say the proposer and the seconder. We were notified prior to tonight's meeting that Councillor Sullivan wasn't able to attend, and a substitute seconder was put forward for tonight's meeting, and that is Councillor Lindbergh. He is in the chamber tonight, so the proposer and seconder are both in the chamber. The relevant section is 17.1. It says written notice of every motion signed by at least 2 members. I do agree that that should be clearer, and that should be, say, signed by the proposer and the seconder. It doesn't say that, and therefore it is ambiguous. We were given advance notice of the issues tonight of the change, so it is a matter for you to rule on.
Okay.
Further question, Chairman. In the papers we've got tonight, it's the seconder, it's Councillor Salmon. It is not anybody else. And we didn't know that tonight. We didn't know till we said it. So it's either out of order, I'm sure it is, he's got to be here. We didn't know who's going to be the seconder. As I said, when we send the motion in to the Chief Executive, we have to sign it to the mover and sign it to the seconder. And that seconder is not here tonight. Who signed it?
Chair, can I move a brief adjournment so that the Chair, the relevant officers, the Leader of the Council and the mover of the motion can have a discussion about this?
Yeah, just give us 5 minutes so we can discuss this, please.
On behalf of the Chair, I just want to explain that this motion will not be considered tonight. There are a number of ambiguities contained within the Council's constitution. We've also discussed previous decisions and precedents that have been set in this chamber, and where the proposer and seconder are not present in the room, a motion cannot be discussed. It can be deferred to the next meeting. On behalf of the Chair, I would like to apologise to all the members of the public that have attended tonight to hear this matter discussed and debated, but it cannot be done tonight. Chair, is there anything that you'd like to add?
No, it's taken some discussion, but it will set a precedence and it will be deferred to a future meeting. Councillor McFarlane?
Thank you for that, Chair. I am disappointed in the decision, but understand it's your decision to make, and there is the issue of the Constitution. But the Reform Group will be submitting the requirements to call an extraordinary council meeting on this subject. Thank you.
What cost to the
This
taxpayer?
is base cowardice, moral cowardice, and I can't believe you've done that. Women and girls are not safe in Bassetlaw.
Order, please.
If one of these girls is attacked in a public space, you don't be on money and nothing about try and drive.
This is not about police, it's about policing women body.
Can we have order, please? Order, please. Thank you.
You'll have children one day, you'll understand.
Oh, wow.
Keep away from me, look like you.
Please. Thank you.
Just going to have a lunch between those who would like to leave the meeting, and then we'll be convening shortly.
Can we just make it clear that anybody that is in the chamber tonight and does want to ensure that their voice is heard, that they can speak to their local councillor and allow them to be their voice. And your local councillors are all available on the Bassetlaw District Council website.
I'll say that.
I call upon Councillor Scodden to read the final motion.
Chair, can I have my speech minute, please? I'll just wait for people to leave. Can I just thank people for coming as well? Thank you, Chair. Over the last 40 years, the towns of Bassetlaw have faced a storm. The industries that sustained generations, coal mining, manufacturing, were fading. Jobs disappeared, shops closed, uncertainty hung heavy in the air. For many years, the question was not how do we grow, but how do we survive. But Bassetlaw is built on resilience. It is a region where people roll up their sleeves and refuse to be defined by hardship. And today, we stand in a very different place, a place of renewal, ambition and hopefully pride. But the transition didn't come by chance. It happened because of collaboration. The Business Development Improvement District, the BID, has worked tirelessly to support local businesses, improve town centres and create vibrant spaces for commons to thrive. The Chartered Trustees have preserved our civic traditions while championing regeneration, ensuring that heritage and progress go hand in hand. Our voluntary services have strengthened the social fabric of our towns, supporting people, vulnerable residents and community projects that make Bassetlaw a better place to live. And our business forums have provided a platform for dialogue, innovation and partnership, helping entrepreneurs turn ideas into reality and shaped event planning that brings people together. These organisations have not only driven economic growth, but they have created a sense of belonging and pride. For seasonal markets of cultural festivals, for networking events of town centre improvements, they have made Bassetlaw's destination, not just a district. These stories share one message: Bassetlaw is back. We have turned struggle into strength, decline into determination and uncertainty into opportunity. But this is just the beginning. We will continue to invest community spirits and bold ideas. We strive to lead Bassetlaw's towns in the strongest possible possible position as we move to LGR. The numbers tell a powerful story. Our economy is worth 2.9 billion with a GDP growth of nearly 9% in 1 year. Employment is rising. 64,590 people are in work, and jobs growth is surging at 7.7%. Over 1,400 new businesses have opened in the last 2 years, and SMEs make up more than 40 companies, driving innovation and opportunities. These aren't just statistics, these are proof that Bassetlaw is thriving. Behind every thriving town centre, there's a story of courage, creativity and commitment. In Worksop we have 2 fashion boutiques, stand as shining examples of how entrepreneurs have shaped community life. Cockney Rebel, Barry's Beauty has become a regional style icon, blending fashions with civic pride. His involvement in Bassetlaw's Business Improvement District, loyalty schemes and seasonal charity events reflect his philosophy that retail is about transformation, not just transaction. House of Elegance, over 30 years Jane Otter has become accustomed to her boutique on Bridge Street, inspired by her grandmother's tailoring grounded in her family's farming roots. Jane has built House of Elegance into a destination for special occasions. From Mothers on the Pride outfits to progresses, guided by her belief that hard work pays off and community matters, Jane has made her shop a cornerstone of Worksop identity, where personal service and local pride comes together. Together, Barry and Jane embed the entrepreneurial spirit of Bassetlaw. Their boutiques are more than businesses. They are cultured landmarks shaping Worksop's reputation as a town of resilience, creativity and community connection. I was in Retford the other day looking at the transformation of the high streets and the work that community, volunteers and councillors and the council have achieved together. In Tuxford, heritage has become opportunity. The Museum of the Horse and the Walks of Life Museum attracts visitors from across the country, boosting tourism and preserving history while creating jobs. In Harworth and Burcote, where college once stood, we now see vibrant housing developments and business parks. A town centre now has larger shops and health provision as it starts to see the benefit of responsible planning and infrastructure. These stories share one message. Our towns are open and ready for business. We have turned struggle into strength, decline into determination and uncertainty into opportunity. But this is just the beginning. With continued investment, community spirit and bold ideas, the next 20 years are about survival. They will be not just about survival, they'll be about leadership. So today, let us celebrate not only what we've achieved, but what lies ahead. A future where resilience turns into prosperity and where towns in Bassetlaw have a chance to shine again. I move the motion, Chair.
I call upon Councillor Lee to second the motion.
Thank you, Chair. As much as I support Bassetlaw and hope that I can be as positive and caring about Bassetlaw as Councillor Sawthorne has just asked. Chair, I am very happy to second this motion and I would like to reserve my right to speak.
Are there any comments or observations? Councillor McConnell.
Thank you. I'd like to request that my speech is minuted. I am pleased to support this motion. It rightly recognises the tremendous efforts of our community groups, businesses and local residents who have worked tirelessly to bring festive spirit and civic pride into our town centres. Their work has made our towns vibrant and welcoming during the Christmas period. But while we celebrate these contributions, we must face the reality that this Christmas will be a difficult one for many residents across Bassetlaw. Last week's budget increased taxes on working people, a budget that punished workers with higher taxes. Families now have less money in their pockets, less to spend in our shops and less to enjoy in the very celebrations we are praising tonight. The squeeze in household incomes will inevitably hit our high streets. The businesses and community organisations we commend tonight depend on local spending to survive. When people are burdened with higher taxes, it undermines the resilience of our town centres and risks undoing the progress that volunteers and entrepreneurs have worked so hard to achieve. And let's be honest, Rachel Reid promised stability, but her budget has given us the kind of Christmas surprise nobody wanted.
Point 26.8, it says councillors must speak strictly to the subject under discussion. I don't think the budget has much to do with this motion, does it?
Or individual.
Councillor McFarlane, 26.8, councillors must speak strictly to the subject under discussion. Thank you.
This is referring to the economic stats that were cited by Councillor Scothorpe.
Yeah. Challenging the church.
Okay.
Yeah. First warning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Right, so let us commend the outstanding contributions that have reached our towns, but let us also be honest. Unless working families are supported, our high streets will struggle. If we want vibrant, inclusive town centres, we must match our praise with policies that protect residents from unfair taxation and ensure that we need to support local business. Only then can the festive spirit we celebrate today be sustained into the future. Thank you.
You try to overrule me then, speak over me. Listen, you're not getting any more warnings, that's the second one. You should be not allowed to speak again. So that's the Constitution. Thank you. Okay. Is it any other questions? Is it Malachi?
Thank you, Chair. Councillors, Retford has shown what can be achieved when volunteers, businesses and the council work together with a shared vision. From the sparkle of our annual Christmas market and light switch on, to the joy of the Illuminate Winter Festival of Light, to the vibrancy of our big market days, each event has brought people together, strengthened local pride and supported our retailers and hospitality venues. Each of these events attract hundreds, if not thousands of people from across Bassetlaw and beyond. The 2025 Christmas Market and Light Switch On welcomed over 30,000 people to Retford within the 24-hour period of the 23rd of November, a magnificent achievement. It is my privilege to stand before you today to celebrate the remarkable journey of our town centre, a journey powered not by chance but by the dedication, creativity and resilience of our community. These initiatives are not just celebrations, they are investments in our identity. They remind us that Retford is more than just a place to shop, it is a place to belong. The Retford Town Centre Neighbourhood Plan, adopted in 2024, stands as a testament to careful research, consultation and collaboration. Guided by this vision, the Town Centre Partnership Board has already delivered tangible improvements with new benches, new bins, new signposts, enhanced CCTV coverage and a safer, more welcoming environment for all. Our heritage too is in safe hands with the Retford Civic Society, continuing to champion our past while beautifying our present with initiatives like Retford Heritage Day and Retford in Bloom. These efforts ensure that our history is not forgotten but celebrated and shared with future generations. And let us not forget the creativity of our retailers who brought our streets to life with window competitions at Easter and Halloween. These displays were more than decorations, they were celebrations of community spirit created by families from across the town. Retford Charter Day is another of our big events throughout the year, with over 10,000 people attending the 2025 celebration of our over 700-year-old Royal Charter, with its signature duck race attracting 6,000 people alone. In Retford, we see how culture and community can spark real growth. Take Wonderland Bookshop, for example, an independent children's bookshop that has become a national award-winning destination for families. It inspires young minds and shows us that imagination itself can be a powerful economic driver. Some people go beyond what is expected. One such individual is Rick Brand, who with his Discover Retford bag has made him a constant ambassador for our town. His dedication, creativity and tireless promotion of Retford have strengthened our identity and inspired pride across the district. I am sure I can speak on behalf of Retford and this council to express our sincere gratitude for Rick's commitment to both our town and the wider district. His work reminds us that progress is not only built through the investment and infrastructure, but through the passion of individuals who care deeply about their community. Together, these investment achievements tell a powerful story. Retford is a town that thrives when its people unite. Volunteers, businesses and the District Council have proven that collaboration can transform a town centre into a place of safety, beauty and joy. As we look ahead, let us carry forward this spirit of partnership. Let us continue to invest in our town, in our heritage and each other. Retford's future is bright because Retford's people care.
Does the proposer wish to sum up?
Sorry, Chair. Thanks, Chair, for giving me the privilege of speaking to this motion. You as Chairman of this Council will have the privilege of going out and meeting these volunteers and people who are proud of their communities throughout the whole of Bassetlaw. I've had the privilege twice, Chair, to do such a fantastic job, such as what you have to do by going out and meeting these people. These people put the pride and very proud to be part of Bassetlaw. Bassetlaw is unique in the sense that it's the biggest district or the biggest part of this county. It's massive to cover the whole area. We've got towns, 4 townships, Haworth and Burcote, Retford, Worksop and Tuxford. Each one of these puts on events through people being volunteers and being proud of part of their communities. And Councillor Scofflaw mentioned that one thing, that Bassetlaw was proud to be a mining part of Nottinghamshire, one of the biggest coal producers in the country. And we had our heart pulled out of us when the coal industry sadly got shut down. But one thing that they can do, they can kick us feet from under us, but we will be there, stood proud yet again by bringing jobs to this district through the regeneration. And one thing that I would ask is that us as a council support things going forward to educate the youngsters so that they can go forward in these jobs, such as the STEP project and things like that. It is important as regards education. The main thing that we do carry through, and I want this to be carried through when it becomes a unitary authority, is that Bassetlaw is unique. We stand alone, but we are proud to stand alone. And we stand by the people who support Bassetlaw, which is the volunteers of Bassetlaw. Thank you,
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. Don't know if anyone else agrees with me, but how can a political party that has the strapline Bassetlaw is broken support this motion? We've heard about the sterling work of individuals, groups, small businesses tonight. What does that do for their confidence and pride in place when a reform keep on saying on every post they deliver that their home patch is broken? What an insult to all the hard work we've heard tonight. So no wonder Councillor McFarlane couldn't go more than a paragraph in support of this motion tonight. Bassetlaw is not broken. Earlier on, Councillor McCallum asked for us to concentrate on, it's reform that is broken. We've had a whole series of motions from them this year. You might remember the one on housing and multiple occupation. Whilst they were talking about it, Joe White MP sorted it out in Parliament and stopped those houses, those contentious houses, from being recategorised as HMOs. We had a motion on car parking. They told us that it was a damage to the town centre. They didn't produce a shred of evidence to support that. Not a shred. And finally tonight, what a catastrophe. He couldn't even, Councillor McFarlane could not even get a seconder to come and support a motion which they say is critical to the safety of women and children in this community. They can't even be bothered to get their own act in order. So how on earth can they claim to be supporting women and children? Finally, if time allows, Councillor McCallum mentioned we need to support local businesses. He only has to go 50 yards from this building in 3 directions. First of all, heirs. The council gave money, secured a heritage grant for that development to take place. The council also came up with energy efficiency grants and advice to save that building from its energy costs. Go 50 yards down Brook Street, you go to Middleton's Yard. A project envisaged by this council, by this Labour council, delivered by this Labour council, and I believe there are up to 30 businesses and retail units in that once disused building. It's a privilege to walk down there, finished to very high quality and valued even by international companies who are renting space there. And finally, about the local community, the rural community, which is rightly of concern and been raised by several people tonight. Our planning department works ceaselessly to bring forward developments in the rural community, from the extreme south in Tuxford with Walkers and Sons, and the development of a wedding venue at the Welbeck estate, right up to the north on the Haxey Misterton border, where a caravan site has recently doubled in size as a result of the work of our planning department. And of course, you've already heard extensively about the Walkering Marina. So it's just not Worksop and Retford that this Labour Council are interested in. It's the whole of Bassetlaw. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. One phrase went through my mind as I sat and listened to Councillor Scofflaw and Carol Challoner and Bidwell, and that was I wish I had gone on first. I'd like to talk about, to begin with, the light turning on here in Worksop. It was a wonderful event where people of all ages and backgrounds joined together in safety to celebrate the joy of light in dark times. And you can read into that phrase whatever you wish. If that was just one event that took place in Worksop this year, it'd be reason enough to be proud. But it isn't. There are numerous events put on and supported by this council, by community groups, by businesses, and by the bid, that to support our diversity as a whole, children, families, veterans, and many other groups in our community. It is a vogue at the moment to believe that our glass is half empty, to criticise what is in front of us, a place where I have lived all my life and worked, and also. I don't believe that. Bassetlaw is a wonderful place to live. It formed me and it formed many other people in this room, and yet alone countless of thousands out of it, and I'm happy to support this motion.
Yes, thanks, Chair. I'm very happy to support the motion as well. Of course, the best thing about Bassetlaw is its people. Kind, tolerant, welcoming and inclusive, with more than a hint of Bassetlaw grit. But I want to refer to the large number of voluntary organisations that we have doing fantastic work across our district. BCBS, under the leadership of Andrea Birch, quite easily the best CBS in Nottinghamshire by a country mile, and doing fantastic work right across Bassetlaw and actually into Bolsover as well. Bassetlaw Citizens Advice Bureau under the leadership of Karen Whitlam. So good that when Mansfield Citizens Advice Bureau was struggling, they took over and they're now serving the people of Mansfield as well as Bassetlaw. Thousands of people every year are being assisted by an organisation largely run by volunteers, and they are truly a fantastic organisation. But there's a Redford Action Centre, there's Centre Place, there's the various church groups and organisations in Bassetlaw, all of whom are doing brilliant work in our community, the majority of whom are run by volunteers. But I would like, if I may, to take a little bit of licence, Chair, and talk about a particular group in my ward at Christ Church, who are doing such fantastic work supporting the Hong Kong community to settle in our area, a community of people fleeing Chinese oppression in Hong Kong. Democracy activists, many of them, and on the wanted list by the Chinese authorities. I spoke to a chap a few weeks ago, and we were talking about him settling here with his family. And I asked him if he was going to stay here, as if he might, or if he might one day go home. He said, I can't go home. I can never go home because I'll be arrested and imprisoned. And these people have come here seeking solace, seeking shelter, seeking to be members of our community, and we're being helped every day by the Christ Church community in Thievesdale in Worksop. I'll be very happy to go there in the morning, actually, because I've supported them with some of my council grant money, and they're very grateful. We're going to have a photograph and a cup of tea over it. So, you know, we're very fortunate in this district to have some fantastic people volunteering to support our community, and I think we should always be grateful to them and always remember and recall their service because they go above and beyond day in and day out, and most of the time it isn't recognised. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, do you want to go first, Chair?
Thank you, Chair. Hearth and Burcoats has moved from a deprived ex-mining community to a settlement that has seen significant industrial and housing growth. Local councillors, both town councillors and district councillors, recognise the need to retain and further develop a strong community spirit across this growing population. Done this by organising community events that embrace all residents, both new and established. We've supported when needed and worked with quite frequently local voluntary groups, and we've encouraged the growth of retail outlets, and some of which have benefited from various grants from Bassetlaw District Council. We expect to see further developments in the future, further policies, further initiatives and strategies that will drive this community known as Hearth and Burcoats. And I believe, Chair, this is called partnership working. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, just wanted to put on, second my comments, obviously what a lot has been said tonight about the town centre, certainly obviously the wider Bassetlaw area, in particular the rural areas obviously that I represent. In going in chronological order, Langhold Triple Street isn't somewhere that I represent, but it's somewhere that I'm proud to live. They have excellent organisations, especially at Christmas time, where Kath Walker and a group of volunteers get together and host a Christmas market, and one thing the lights switch on. And as everyone's quite rightly said, volunteers are quite hard to get, but we always come up trumps there. Also, Sturton Goldcoats, a great rural community with a great sense of community pride. Steve and Gemma Smith, who run the Grange Farm Shop, they've been very active in their community, and so has the parish council in organising their light switch on, where they've had some external food vendors and other residents also have been able to participate in that. And again, that's been excellent excellent turnout. And finally, Blythe's Parish Council and their residents, just like to give them my thanks. Unfortunately, their licence isn't until the 7th, but I'm sure it'll be an excellent event, so it seems fitting just to pass on my thanks at this opportunity. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'm very happy to support this motion. We've heard many excellent examples of local community work and businesses coming together at this time of year. I just want to say something about the Worksop Priory Gatehouse Community Trust. Work starts next week on refurbishing the gatehouse. I'm proud to serve on the board, which is chaired by Fran Walker. And they've had a lot of support from Mike Tagg and the council conservation team in advice and sometimes in funding. And also a shout out for the Priory Christmas Tree Festival, which is on at the moment. Thank you.
Councillor Person.
I'll take you down the journey. Worksop Town, right? There's a lot about it. There's the gatehouse, as John said. It's been restored. It looks beautiful. You can go into it now. You know, it's great. The other bit is, I lived on Cheapside when I was born in Cheapside, which is in Manton. And I can remember Bromley's Fish Shop on there. Right, and you used to go across the road, and there were no coals there. You had to go on road to get into the chip shop. So they're the things that I think about. And also, I like to think about the Worksop Business Forum, or doing well working. We're working out with Steve and Charlie on the Worksop Town, and we've had the Discover Workshop, which is great. It's going all over, people can see it, and you can go to all to everyone. And so, you know, it's improvement as well, up at Ayres, which is brilliant. Now, if anyone hasn't seen it, go and have a look, it's great. And I also want to praise the Friends of Worksop's railway station. David knows about that, and they've done a great job. It looks like one of the best stations in the country at the moment. It really does look good. So let's have a look at Worksop. You know, I can remember 1960s, 70s, 80s, 90s, right? When you went downtown and it was full. You went to get home, you got road, went on. You know, you spent your money because you were a miner. You spent it. And then we got, well, I'm not mentioning a political figure, but somebody closed the pits. And therefore, the power stations went as well. And that were all them people that worked at the power station, the pits, and the associated things, like ours, which had a big pit, a very big pit. I worked at Whittle, which is in Derbyshire, but, you know, that's a different thing. And that money, when we got the money on a Friday, and we got money, we didn't get it, it didn't go back, we used to get money. You have to go to time shop and pick the money up. You go in the workshop on days, you spend it 10 days, going uniform, which is best, still the best. So I think we are doing well within Worksop, and I won't speak about Worksop, I don't want to talk about Retford, because I do know Retford. Worksop is my town, and it is improving. The only thing now is we need to get them shops open. And people know there are some good shops in Worksop still. And Steve mentioned one or two. And people, I want people to visit them. I know there's a problem in Worksop with drugging and asbestos stuff, but we're sorting that out as well. And that's coming through Lynn team and the asbestos team, doing a really good job now. I start trying to sort that out. And the other thing is, let's look at Worksop as a team, as a town, as a whole town. And let's not forget, it was built on coal. town centre back to what it was. He looked, you know, my wife goes down every week and she still likes going into town. But I think what we've got to do is bring out the jobs we had before. Where we could spend the money in our town and get it done. Thank you.
Just before we go any further, in accordance with the Council's constitution, can I ask if members are in agreement with extending the meeting for 30 minutes to 9:30 p.m. to conclude the business of the agenda? All in favour? All against? Any abstentions?
Openness of democracy in action.
We'll extend the meeting to 9:30. Councillor Schuller, did you want to comment?
I'm not going to take you on a journey, as Councillor Presley did. I just want to point out that people are coming to Bassetlaw to live. In my role as housing and estates, I have the pleasure to visit all of the areas of Bassetlaw. I'm going to mention just a few. The Mews in Worksop, where the community has come together and are assisting us to actually improve the area where they live. Hallcroft Tenant and Resident Association, Health and Birkhouse Tenant and Resident Association, all areas whereby we see communities working together. The residents of Bassetlaw, we see, in residents of Bassetlaw, we see strengths. We are all working together. We need to see now other things that will bring greater pride in Bassetlaw. We need to be being paid forward, bringing the schools that we need that have been removed from planning applications to improve the futures of our young people. We need to be able to provide them with greater pride. Well, however we are removing schools from planning applications, they do not see how proud we are of them. We need to tell our young people that Bassetlaw is not broken, it is open for business, and you can be proud of where you live, as we, who are councillors that live in Bassetlaw, are proud of where we live.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, it's been really good to hear the positivity of all but one of our councillors tonight. I'd like my speech to be minuted, please. Chair, I am privileged to acknowledge the outstanding efforts of so many of our local community groups, businesses, the BID and our residents, whose initiatives have demonstrably increased footfall in our town centres, particularly during the run-up to the Christmas season. And I'm grateful to all the councillors here who have outlined all the positive things happening in our communities. Many of these groups continue their efforts throughout the year, demonstrating an impressive desire to make a positive difference to Bassetlaw and to all our communities. I have a list and I'd like to name them all, but I only have 5 minutes. So I'll name a few, including Worksop and Retford Charter Trustees, the Retford Business Society, Retford and Worksop Business Forums, the Pride organisers in our towns, Centre Place, Bassetlaw Action Centre, the Acorn Theatre, Retford Majestic, and the many religious groups that make a difference in our community. There are so very many people who selflessly give of their time. Just recently, I'm aware that the Royal British Legion has, with the help of many volunteers, raised thousands of pounds to help our ex and current armed forces personnel. Daily, I see the volunteers from so many organisations organising events and supporting other residents and businesses with a generosity of spirit that I find inspiring. Whilst I hear from Councillor McFarland and the Reform Group time and again that Bassetlaw is broken, Just saying that does not make it so, Councillor McFarlane. There are a core of people here in Bassetlaw whose drive, spirit and giving natures will not be quashed by such negativity. I'd like to call on those councillors who constantly talk down our home to consider all of the positives in the people who live here and recognise the difference that they make. I am grateful to those groups and individuals who actively want to make a positive difference and who go out of their way to do so. I am grateful to those people who come to our town to support our events. I've seen the crowds who gather to mark Remembrance Sunday growing in number in our towns every year. I know that the Christmas lights switch on this year was the biggest ever. Chair, I chose Bassetlaw as a place that I wanted to bring my children up, and now my grandchildren are growing up here too. I have never regretted that decision, in large part due to the people who live and work here and the passion that I see every day from people and organisations who want to make this the very best place to live, to work and to visit. Chair, I fully support this motion and I wish every Bassetlaw resident and business a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Okay, we'll go on to the vote.
So I'd like you to propose that we do it as a recorded vote, please.
Councillor Scott
Thank you, Chair. Can I speak a bit, please? First of all, what wonderful words I've heard today. It's been really humbling to hear the amount of support that our councillors have got for our services, our volunteers, and our forums. We've got representatives from Pride, from Town Forum, and the audience. We've got people from the Charter Trees at Bradford. It's really good to hear. But as I come to the end of my motion, I want to leave you with a message that truly matters. A reminder of the power of our words, the power of our words hold, and the influence they have on the future of our community. We all know that investment, growth and tourism don't happen by chance. They happen by people believing in a place. And belief is shaped by the stories we tell. The ones we share online, in our conversations, and the way we speak about our homes. Negative words and comments may seem harmless in a moment, but they can have a real consequence. They create doubt. They make investors hesitate. They make visitors look elsewhere. They weaken the confidence that businesses rely on to survive. And perhaps most importantly, negativity hurts the very people who are trying their hardest to bring things better. We have local businesses that pour their heart out to serve our community. We have volunteers and organisations and residents who work tirelessly to create events, improve our towns and bring people together. When constant negativity overshadows their effort, it doesn't just discourage them, it undermines the progress they're trying to build. But just as negative can damage, positivity can transform. Positive words count because they build confidence, not fear. They attract opportunity, not just push it away. They show pride, not defeat. When we speak positively about our towns, we give strength to our businesses working hard to grow. We encourage visitors to come and experience what we have to offer. We inspire investors to see the potential instead of problems. And we remind each other that this is a community worth believing in. Our community can only thrive when people lift each other up, when it chooses positivity. We support our shops that keep our high streets alive. We encourage entrepreneurs who want to invest here. We give confidence to the families thinking of visiting and moving here. We show the world that this place is full of potential, not problems. So, as we move forward, let's be mindful of the impact our words can have. Let's speak with pride. Let's celebrate what's good. Let's support the businesses and community groups who are working every day to make this place better. Together we can create an environment where opportunity grows, where people feel welcome, where the community can shine. And as we approach this festive season, with our town looking its very best, may we carry the same spirit of hope, generosity and togetherness into the new year. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, so this is recorded vote in relation to the motion as tabled. Councillor Adams.
For.
Councillor Bowker.
For.
Councillor Brown.
For.
Councillor Carrington-Wild.
For.
Councillor Carroll.
For.
Councillor Challoner.
For.
Councillor Digby.
For.
Councillor Ducey.
For.
Councillor Eaton.
For.
Councillor Entwistle. Councillor Evans.
For.
Councillor Fielding.
For.
Councillor Freeman.
For.
Councillor Griffin. Councillor Horrocks.
For.
Councillor Lee. Councillor Limber.
For.
Councillor McCollum.
For.
Councillor McFarland.
For.
Councillor Fraser Merriweather. Oh, sorry. Okay. Councillor Pashley.
For.
Councillor Pidwell.
For.
Councillor Presley.
No.
Councillor Polk.
For.
Councillor Rose.
For.
Councillor Madeline Richardson. No. Councillor Simon Richardson.
For.
Councillor Neil Sanders.
For.
Councillor Schuler. Councillor Scotthorne.
For.
Councillor Shepherd.
For.
Councillor Slater.
For.
Councillor Turner. And Councillor White. Oh, goodness. Sorry. Okay. I do apologise. Yeah, no, sorry, I did miss Councillor Naylor.
Sat next to you.
It's not behind you.
Panto starts next to you.
Have we missed anybody?
No.
Right.
That's unanimous.
Yeah.
The results are unanimous, so that is carried. The motion is carried. Okay, we're going to do these slightly out of order, just in case we don't get them all done by 9:30. But we're going on to agenda item number 11, is reports of the head of planning and place. East Drayton Neighbourhood Plan, consideration of examination report, enactment of recommendations, and arrangement of a local referendum, pages 315 to 358. Are there any comments or observations? Councillor Scott.
Chair, I'd just like to put on record that the local planning, the neighbourhood plan group wish to thank the administrator for everything they've done. This is a progressive plan which obviously will feed into the local plan and move us forward towards LGR. Thank you, Chair, and thank you everybody who took part in the plan.
The recommendations is set out on page 320. All in favour? Against? Any abstentions? That's carried.
Right, we'll go back a bit. Agenda item number 9.
The agenda item number 9 is referrals. There are 3 referrals. The first referral is from Health and Safety Committee on the 8th of October 2025. Minute number 12C, Health and Safety Compliance Policies, pages 49 to 226 of your agenda. Are there any comments or observations on this report? Councillor Chandler.
Thanks, Chair. obviously, why can't you hear me? Thanks, Chair. I've been Chair of this committee for many, many years, and I'm proud to support this referral to full council, because health and safety plays a massive part in everybody's life and the day-to-day running of this council. It's not there just to protect the employees, it's there to protect the employers as well and the general public. So at the committee meeting we had a lengthy discussion and it was voted unanimous by members of the committee, both from councillors and employees, for it to come to this referral tonight, and we are fully supportive of it. Thank you, Chair.
The recommendations is set out on page 49. All in favour? Against? Any abstentions? That's carried. The second referral is from Cabinet on the 14th of October 2025, minute number 61A, Artificial Intelligence Policies, pages 227 to 246 of your agenda. Are there any comments or observations? Councillor Slope?
Yeah, I just want to say that I was proud to present this in Cabinet, which passed. This is really adopting for the first time in Bassetlaw the use of artificial intelligence. I think some people sometimes get a bit worried about the implications, but I think it also can bring lots of benefits as well. It's also part of our transformation agenda, getting ready for LGR, where we're transforming services. We're also working with Multiverse with an apprenticeship programme for council staff, really so that they can get to grips in using AI in a way which helps with people's productivity. So I think it's a very exciting time, and I'm happy that this is being adopted. Thank you.
Councillor Brown?
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick question from me. There is a passing reference to members within the policy. I just wonder if there's a timescale for something a bit more for members to learn a bit more and how it can benefit us in our ward work.
I can reassure all members that the information is going to be published next week, which will include information for members about how this process will be rolled out and your part in doing that.
The recommendations are set out at page 227 to approve and adopt the policy. All in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Carried. The third referral is from Cabinet on the 25th of November 2025, minute number 75B, Vision 2040, refresh pages 247 to 304 of your agenda. Are there any comments or observations? Councillor Brown?
Thank you again. I fully support this. I think it takes in the here and now. It demonstrates our aspirations for the future and it addresses the uncertainties of LGR. There's just a couple of things I'd like to raise. I'm a school governor and the school is adopting a no faces policy, which means they only photograph the back of children's heads. There are a number of pictures of children in this policy, and I just wonder whether the same rigour is applied to the use of those photographs. The second point I'd like to make, just in case anybody is coming to Bassetlaw from far afield, the map looks very much like the London Underground, just so that people are aware that we don't have an underground system. I wonder if it would be helpful to label some of the features, for example, the A1, the Chesterfield Canal, etc., etc. Otherwise, it doesn't mean a lot to readers coming from afar. Thank you.
Just to confirm that we do obtain consent for any photographs that we do use in any of our publications.
Thank you. I read this report and I can see what the report is trying to achieve. I just don't see why this council is spending taxpayers' money on a vision up to 2040 when the same council has voted to abolish this council in only a matter of months almost at this point. It seems a waste of taxpayers' money to continue with a vision until 2040 when this council won't go much further than 2028, maybe 29.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor McFarlane, do you really think that we should say we are not going to do or think about anything after the end of Bassetlaw? Do you really think that we should not position ourselves to be in the best place possible when the unitary starts? Because if you do think that, Councillor McFarlane, you may want to go away and do some reading. We are positioning ourselves with this. We are making sure that Bassetlaw continues into the future with the work that it's been doing and making that difference to our residents. We do not want to play such a short-term game, which means that we don't care about the future of our residents. I'm very surprised that you would ask that. And if I can just, I wasn't just answering your question, Councillor McFarlane. I wanted to say something about Vision 2040. I think that this document carries on some of the great things that we've been doing in Bassetlaw over the last few years and makes sure that Bassetlaw, although it will not be Bassetlaw anymore in 2 years, it will still have a future and its people will still have a future, and the things that we are doing with regard to making sure that our people have the opportunities that we've been developing over these years will continue. So I actually welcome this report and feel that it has to look into the future, because we are not a short-sighted council. We do want to make sure that everything for the future is there for our residents. Thank you, Chair.
Under the Constitution, I've got right for personal clarification.
Is that a common point of order in relation?
Yeah.
Can you state the rule, please?
Yeah. Thank you. It's 19.5 F by way of personal explanation. Also number D, which is exercise a right to reply.
Personal explanation.
Thank you. In terms of my position about all, the council nearing by 2040, so why should we continue with it? I was just taking the lead of Councillor Lee when we proposed forming a working group on the Constitution. Councillor Lee said, why are we wasting officers' money on changes to the Constitution when the council won't exist after local reorganisation? So I was just taking Councillor Lee's lead.
Personal statements, please. Personal statement, Chair. That's not accurate.
We're going to move on, please. The recommendations are set out on page 247. All in favour? Against? Any abstentions? That's carried. Agenda item number 10 is reports of Head of Legal and Governance. Correction to Members' Allowance 2025-26, pages 305 to 308. Are there any comments or observations on the report? No? The recommendations are set out on page 307. All in favour? Against? Any abstentions? That's carried. Agenda item number 10B is withholding councillors' home addresses from the Registry of Interests, pages 309 to 314. Are there any comments or observations? Councillor White.
Thank you, Chair. It's with a great deal of sadness that I wholeheartedly support this. In my time as a young elected member, it's been an absolute privilege to offer what time, abilities I have in service to the people of Carlton, Illingwick and Bassetlaw. My fear is now that the amount of abuse that members get in anybody in public life, whether they are volunteers or paid employees, is now going to turn people off, good people off, from either standing for election or giving their time in public service. During the last election, myself and my two colleagues in Carlton were accused of looking like paedophiles by an elected county councillor. That same county councillor also accused my partner of being a lover of terrorists. These are minor compared to the abuse, threats of violence and even rape that some people have to undergo by being either elected member of a council, an MP or a public person. These have been generally stoked up by people who want to divide our community and thrive on that division for their own political gain. And I call upon all members and all public figures in the right of public accountability and transparency in public life and the dignity that we all hope to employ as public members, that we stand against such division and attacks in public life.
Thank you, Chair. I earlier spoke about Bassetlaw and what a great place it is to live. I have always had my address out in public and never had any problem until Councillor McFarlane allowed my address and addresses that are connected with me to be put on his Facebook page, and even though I requested him one evening to take it off, he didn't do so until the next day, and that led to people saying that they should come round and check my addresses and the addresses of people that are connected with me that had women and children living in those homes who were frightened to death that someone was going to come round to their home, knock on their door, and insist of coming into their home to see if it was an HMO. Those people lived in fear, and some of them are still frightened that that would happen. So I am so sad that I have had to remove my addresses, my address and those addresses from the register. So I do support this because I have to protect people, women and children who live in properties connected to me, Chair.
Thank you. Just to put some facts onto what Councillor Lee has just said, she called me up at 11:30 in the evening, asking me to remove a post that was posted by a resident, not by myself. That post was then removed the next morning when I was out of bed, and actually got on to it and removed it at the earliest opportunity. I didn't think it was appropriate for another council to actually ring someone at that time of night. Councillor Lee has never communicated with me by the phone for any other reason. I could have put a code of conduct complaint, and I decided not to because of the situation. So I thought I'd clarify that.
Where's your conscience?
Councillor Disgrace. Trust me, you don't find it attractive.
Come forward.
Thank you, Chair. I witnessed the events that we are talking about that evening. When Councillor Lee rang Councillor McFarland late at night, I thought it was early at 11:30, but I'll take his timing. He was awake. He answered the call. They had a conversation. It wouldn't have taken much longer for him to take it down there and then, but he didn't. And when it was checked the next morning, it was still there. It took the intervention of a senior reformed person, and we're grateful for that, to get him to change his mind and remove that dangerous comment. Thank you.
The recommendations are set out at page 3.1. Oh,
sorry, I had my hand up before, but things moved on. It is unfortunate that this is on the agenda. For me, it's always been fundamental to being an elected member that I live in the area that I represent. I think that's very important for me, and I think it's important for residents. because they see that we are making decisions not about some distant place, but actually that affect us as well. So I'm wondering whether there's a fourth option that might be possible, and that is, instead of giving an address, just to say lives in my case, lives in the Mistonton ward, which, you know, is 2 villages, so it's broad enough that, I mean, if people wanted to track down my address, they could. But I just wonder whether that could be considered as another option. Thank you.
My proposal is, if this is carried tonight, is to email all members, letting them know of the date that we plan to make the updates. It would be an address in Bassetlaw, but we're going to hopefully take it to an opt-in system. If you want it an address in and you want it more specific, more than happy to work with members on that point.
Yeah, I was just going to ask the same question, but you answered it. You're absolutely right, Councillor Ryan. The important thing is that people know that you're a local person living in your area, representing the people. I mean, you could be somebody that lives miles away, you know, perhaps in another district. And I think I'm not mentioning any individual anyway. And I think it's important that people know that the decisions you make affect you as a local person in the same way as it affects them as a local person. So I totally agree with you, and I think what the Bonnie Trox has just said is eminently sensible. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry Chair, we're saying that it's going to be the address is in Bassetlaw. What happens if the person doesn't live in Bassetlaw?
There are a number of members that either do not live in the area or don't have to declare an address. You only declare an address which you own or have an interest in it on, say, rent. If you live with family members and it's not your property, you don't pay rent, you wouldn't declare an address.
Right, thank you. Councillor.
Right, as a councillor who was born and still live in my community apart from Burcoats, virtually everybody knows where I live. However, I do support what Councillor Brown has said, and I also, perhaps it should have happened years ago, certainly before I got the death wish letter prior to an election. Thank you.
Thank you. The recommendations are set out at page 313. All in favour? Against? Any abstentions? That's carried. The last item number 12, is any other business which the Chair considers. I've got 15 minutes to say. There is no other business. I close the meeting and I wish you all a Merry Christmas.